Okay, so my name is Jonah Blake, and I am your token professor, I guess. I did a video, it resonated quite well, so we're back with another lesson. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about token content funnels, and we're gonna tie it to abstract. This video is not sponsored, although it is sponsored by all of my active clients. I do run a marketing strategy and talent company called Real Agency. We have about 8 clients right now. They're incredible. And again, thank you to my clients for trusting us with your money. I want to make it very clear that nothing I say should be construed as legal or financial advice. None of this matters until you talk to a lawyer and a certified financial advisor, as well as someone who is in advisory capacity who's done this before. It does not have to be me. Again, I am not selling a course. I don't plan on selling courses. And so I'm doing this because most people can't afford our rates, 1, and 2, it's good marketing in itself, right? We are talking about token content funnels. In particular, we're talking about Abstract and how they did their model. And by the way, they're not a client, and this is all based on my own guesses and assumptions, but I'll tell you where I think this is going and why they actually did something quite smart. And the core of the question is, if you're running a token marketing company, why should you include streamers? Why should you include them, even the small people? So when you're starting a chain or a token like Abstract, you're gonna solve for a few things when you're streaming, and this will ultimately lead to our final equation, which is the flywheel. Everything you see on this board relates to the flywheel, which will relate to Pengu. It relates to Abstract. And Abstract is the ultimate weight here because it is the ecosystem. The current equation for tokens in this cycle are surprise, delight, despair, and supply shock. They go through these rotations every time. Doesn't matter if you launch a meme coin or an L1 coin, whatever coin, okay? They all go through surprise, delight, despair, and supply shock. And hopefully you pick your price back up based on your product or what your particular experimentation is. So why stream? Couple of factors. Solving for sinks, dispersion, and Sybil. These 3 things can either make or break your token and help you define your surprise and delight. Because the surprise and delight will determine the initial token price, and then despair and the level of despair will decide how low your token goes. And then based on how low your token goes, you're going to decide what kind of supply shock you need to do. Either that's product or that's actual token related. Supply shock means people wake back up to your token and it enters a new surprise, delight, despair, and supply shock rotation. So what do we talk about? We talk about sinks. A sink for your token is ways in which your token can be purchased, monetizable, or taken out of the economy, or at least recycled, so there is a fair amount of volume, a decent market cap, and a decent fully diluted valuation. So that's what a sink is. Dispersion. Dispersion has to do with content and also with tokens. Every time you launch a token in your ecosystem and it's tied directly to a foundation, even if it's not legally so, you have a dispersion issue. And dispersion is usually around weight, okay? Right now, Abstract has a unique situation because Pengu has significant weight on top of Abstract. Normally what happens is a token will launch, for example, let's say Barachain, and it would be roles reverse. It would be Barachain, arrow down, Pengu, and whatever the market cap valuation of Abstract is, it'll create a ceiling for the secondary token. But the problem with Abstract, but also unique, what's happening here is Pengu's weight is going to affect the actual launch of Abstract's token, and Abstract's token should have more weight than Pengu over time. And the goal here is that app-related tokens, immune-related tokens like this, should take precedence over the network token, because they're going to want Abstract to be probably the native gas token. And the problem with the native gas token being the dominant token is you have the issue like Ethereum, where gas is now a K-factor, and we'll talk about what K-factor is for the price of Ethereum. That's dispersion, okay? Dispersion is how many tokens you have, as well as how many pieces of content and how it has a K-factor in the ecosystem of other apps and tokens you're competing with. And the last and extremely important is Sybil. In crypto, Sybil is when someone manipulates a token economy using programming to get an outsized return. It's another word for vampire attack. We're going to reference this as exploitation of the token. Also at the same time in Web2 terms, how likely someone is to vampire attack your ecosystem and how you solve for that through defense. And these are all the reasons you're going to want to try streaming. And the core question has been, why would a Web3 platform introduce streaming? Because the cost is extremely high. And largely that's correct. There was a project before Abstract called Valhalla that was a complete failure. They tried to build a Web3 streaming platform, but the problem they didn't solve for was videos and clips. And what you need to understand, we're going to call this loss leader. In Web2, this is very normal, is when you build a product knowing it cannot generate much profit or value, but its network effects will allow for other ecosystems and apps to flourish, and therefore over the course of time, the cost justifies the end game. And every token that's building content is going to have to do something like Abstract eventually. Here's an equation here on why you would do streaming if you're Pudgy Penguin and you're Abstract. You have your cost, which moves into platform, discovery, and rotation. And there's factors to each one of these. And the arrows all go back to flywheel. And you need the flywheel to create new heights for surprise, delight, despair, supply shock, therefore increasing the value of Pengu, therefore making the adjusted valuation of Abstract and the farming of Abstract valuable. So some of the issues with streaming are cost, are the servers, okay? Abstract has to pay AWS for Microsoft, and the reality is you're not going to get a better deal than Twitch. Abstract needs to raise a lot of money to maintain the server cost. Otherwise, they did screw. The next problem they have, and why they're building a streaming platform, is terms of service on Twitch and other networks. Certain content platforms have their own terms of service, and effectively, if you don't play ball in their content mafia, you will get shadow banned or you'll get removed. And that would be a death sentence for Abstract and Pengu, because if that happens, then it will destroy the price of Pengu, destroying the valuation of Abstract, and this Rube Goldberg machine will fall in on itself. The next reason you're going to do streaming, and if you get the farming and the flywheel correctly, is earned media and KOLs. I talked about this in the last video, but KOL earned media has different values. Written earned media is not as valuable as content earned media, meaning video. So all of those costs factor into building a platform. An Abstract needs a platform because they want to be a crypto version of Steam, and so does every other chain. They're just not telling you the truth about it, and they're not going about it in a unique way, or they just want to do crypto casinos because that makes them fast money. Okay, you built a platform. What does a platform need? It needs to have video. And the reality is, most people who create content are not like me. They're not sitting here in front of a camera recording it. They don't have an editor that they pay thousands of dollars a month to, and they don't have the kind of money that I have to produce content as fast as I do. So a great solve to the least common denominator is either Twitter Spaces, which have no monetization or virality at all, or you go to streaming, live streaming. Pretty fucking simple equation, right? You make me money by streaming your apps, I get new KOLs. That's really important because it's not only KOLs, key opinion leaders, and Web3, you need creators in Web2 for any of these apps to work. The reality is these apps can't survive with only 10,000 monthly active users if people are only spending $5 a month per user. You need to go into the hundreds of thousands to millions, and the only way to do that is to get creators on new platforms. But how do you get new creators on platforms, okay? This is where we enter discovery. The one solve and the reason why they're streaming and how they're going to handle costs and how they're going to handle dispersion is going to be through clip farming. FaZe Clan is built on clip farming at this point. So is Kai Cenat's channel. So is iShowSpeed. Fun fact, Twitch does not make money streaming every year. They bring in revenue, but they don't profit. Streaming is not dead as a whole, but the cost to run streaming, plus the lack of new talent, plus the power law of only like 100 streamers controlling 100 million people, it's quite hard to run a streaming platform. That being said, if you're focusing on building an earning system of apps and building your own like Steam style, using those streams to build a library, you can hire editors to clip farm. And editors in clip farming are a lot cheaper than KOLs. Why is that? Because most sit behind a desk, and also you have a number of editing apps that are AI infused that make clip farming a pretty solvable issue. And you saw this with Pudgy Kindness, which they did before Abstract with Pudgy Penguins. They clip farm streamers and they create content around them. It's a 60-second short and it can go viral on TikTok. How do you get viral clips? This is where you're gonna have your syncs. You need tips. Why? Why do you need tips? People will do dumb shit for money. It's the simple meme of fuck around and find out. Funny, dumb clips will capture the average user, which is on TikTok, someone between 9 and 30, and they just want to see 60 seconds of entertainment. If this all works, you have an official flywheel. The flywheel should raise the bar for surprise, delight, despair, and supply shock. But for this to raise up, we need to estimate our token holder K-factor. Now, what is K-factor? In app marketing and Web2, K-factor is an equation to determine how viral your app is and how many installs you can get and the kind of money you make. How am I personally evaluating K-factor for tokens right now? So you do holders plus price multiplied by your sync, meaning the more tips or other ways to burn Pengu leads to a higher token holder K-factor virality, because high price means more clips made about it, more people talking about it. Then you get your new price minus rotation. Rotation is something we need to quantify in future videos, okay? But it's how many new apps and how many new tokens and what the cycle is doing at any given point in time. Now, again, if your K factor is high on your token holder marketing, then you're gonna get a much better flywheel of earned content. Anyway, this is your entry 101 lesson on token content funnels, where you're using abstract as an example. And I hope you like this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.